All right, let's talk about D.C. Lately, you've been hearing a lot about crime in our nation's capital. For years, the D.C. City Council has pushed these so-called progressive policies that go easy on offenders, and surprise, surprise, things spiraled out of control. Yes, some crime categories have dipped recently, but let's be clear. Violent crime here is still far above what's acceptable, and the murder rate remains alarmingly high. When you give criminals lighter consequences, you tell them the streets are theirs. And that's exactly what's been happening. The good news? President Trump is stepping in to restore law and order. But first, let's hear from a U.S. attorney who faces this problem every single day.
What's happening is, even if you shoot someone with a gun, you go to family court where the purpose is rehabilitation. You get to go to an ice cream social and you get to go to yoga classes. That's nonsense. All of these statutes that they've passed don't allow me to incarcerate. They allow.
This isn't just some random person venting. This is a prosecutor telling you straight up the system is broken. And she's right. The D.C. Council has a history of weakening accountability for dangerous offenders, even in cases of serious violent crimes. The numbers speak for themselves. According to the Metropolitan Police Department, violent crime is still a major problem despite recent declines. And the White House confirms that in 2024, Washington, D.C. saw a homicide rate of 27.3 per 100,000 residents, nearly 6 times higher than New York City. That's unacceptable for the capital of the United States. When leaders refuse to hold criminals accountable, public safety collapses. And when the feds step in, watch how quickly the local narrative changes.
I mean, they had an opportunity to ask for help. They had an opportunity to make some change and to attack this in a different way. And it was by choice that they didn't. So how much do you trust that the cooperation is going to be sustainable from the left?
Exactly. After years of undermining law and order, D.C. officials now want to cooperate with the federal government because they're under pressure. This is political theater, plain and simple. They care more about appearances than actually solving the problem. But President Trump isn't here to play games. He's using every lawful tool to secure our nation's capital and protect the people who live here. And of course, the radical left is furious. But here's the question. Are these protests even real?
We know that there's paid astroturf from the radical left. They do this all the time with a lot of their phony protests. When you talk to some of these people on the ground, they don't live in the jurisdictions. They tell you they're being paid. They're bussed in, and then when the issue's over, they leave.
We've seen this tactic before. Outside groups bussing in paid protesters to fake a grassroots movement. Meanwhile, the actual residents of D.C. just want to feel safe again, and they welcome the National Guard and federal law enforcement for bringing order back to their streets. Congressman Byron Donalds puts it perfectly.
At the end of the day, what is most important is that the security of Washington, D.C. is paramount. And if you're a Washingtonian living in Washington, D.C., you know that the streets are not safe. Members of Congress, Angie Craig, Henry Cuellar was held up at gunpoint and carjacked in Washington, D.C. If it happens to members of Congress, it happens to regular citizens as well. D.C. City Council has not prioritized safety and security. They have prioritized woke criminal justice reform policies that simply do not work, never have worked. And that's why President Trump is doing the right thing.
And that's the truth the radical media will twist into executive overreach or some attack on D.C.'s autonomy. But the reality is simple. This is about protecting American citizens in America's capital. President Trump's actions aren't about politics. They're about people. And that's the kind of leadership that gets results.